My name is Uziel Awret. I'm going to give a short meta talk. I'm going to talk about the talk. The purpose of the talk is to present a very strange physical scenario with surprisingly many philosophical advantages. I'll just read because if I start talking around the slides, I'll never finish. It's always good to start with an explanandum, so here's the explanandum. So first of all, I want to say that the problem of consciousness is not monolithic, and unentangling the knot of consciousness involves really a cluster of you can call them problem intuitions. Some of them are anti-physicalist problem intuitions. There is something that is like to be problem intuition. You can have one that I'm going to call the structural mismatch problem, anti-physicalist problem intuitions. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that you have to make a strategic choice. How do you want to start? And you have to start with the right strands. And so this is a more strategic explanandum. By the way, in the paper that appears on the first slide, it explains all these things much better. It takes me about 10 pages to explain the choice of this strategic explanandum. Anyway, so the structural mismatch problem intuition is one of them. And why does it seem that the structure of the phenomenal state and the structure of the brain tissue with which it correlates are completely independent? It seems like there's no transform, nothing that relates them, no necessary condition. And the second, and these are, by the way, two information-laden domains that are exquisitely correlated, and yet we don't even understand how these two structures are correlated. Then you have the physical identity problem intuition, or not P. Why does it seem that consciousness cannot be identical to brain constituents? It's not, why is it seems not there? Or you can call, by the way, both of these the Leibniz-Mill problem intuitions. And we need the physics in which things that seem completely different are in some sense identical. So complementarity is a good way to start. However, Borch complementarity is the two, you have mutually exclusive views of the same system, and this is not what happens in our case. So consciousness brain processes are not mutually exclusive. So then I go to Suskind's black hole complementarity is inclusive, and now the complementary views are formed by one observer falling into a black hole with a phone book and other one outside. And this leads to duality in the AdS CFT correspondence. So this kind of duality is perhaps radical enough for our purposes. Suppose the brain were shown to be a massively entangled quantum system. This is obviously an assumption, especially the NCC. Then that would give us a new move, and this is really what I'm trying to talk about. And the AdS CMT or CFT duality, this is going to be the explanans. The anti-de Sitter conformal field theory correspondence relates gravitational theory in a weakly curved d plus one dimensional anti-de Sitter space to a strongly coupled d-dimensional quantum field theory defined on its boundary. AdS CMT refers to the unexpected relevance of the holographic correspondence to condensed matter physics. This correspondence maps questions about complicated many-body phenomena at strong coupling to solvable single or few-body classical problems in the curved geometry. Just to get a sense of it, this is a quote by Zanen, who's an experimentalist in condensed matter physics. And he describes holographic duality as transforming an intractable, strongly interacting quantum field theory into a more phenomenological theory based more on things that we know and can relate to. Maybe I'll come back to it. There's another interesting quote here by Michael Atiyah that relates the quantum mechanical world and the classical. And so you can actually relate quantum mechanical reality and the classical reality through the duality without the collapse of the wave function. It's a completely different way of doing business. And if you have questions on it, I'll come back to it. So this is, in a way, the central slide here. You have Suskind's shell quantum computer. This is based on Suskind's paper, Dear Qbitzers. And here you have a two-dimensional quantum computer, and according to, it's described by two-dimensional conformal quantum field theory. And according to, because of the duality, it is dual. You have a conformal field theory in 2 dimensions. It has to be dual to the bulk space in 3 dimensions, which sits on its boundary. So this is the stuff inside. However, the stuff inside is not in the lab. It has a very strange ontological status. So this is very important. And the only way to access this AdS space, which is, by the way, which is, by the way, much simpler and closer to us than the quantum field theoretical computer. You actually have to upload something. You have to upload the technician. So Susskind in his thought experiment uploads the technician onto the computer to be able to access the AdS space, which is very interesting because this is already enough to protect physics from the conceivability argument. And what I'm doing really is something much simpler. I'm just saying that this box space is actually very reminiscent of our phenomenal field, meaning it is much more similar to our phenomenal field than the actual quantum mechanical going on. And it has other advantages. And it can solve both the NAT-P and the SMP problem intuitions. I can talk about that. And it's also infinite on the inside, which is kind of interesting. It gives you certain new moves. And so this strange scenario, it's a strange scenario, but it's worth considering because of its many philosophical advantages. So I promised you, it actually has 17 different, that I listed, probably more, philosophical advantages, which sounds crazy, but let me just list them. It solves important aspects of the hard problem by suggesting that consciousness is constituted like an AdS space. It solves Chalmers' meta problem of consciousness by offering a meta-correlational solution. Circumvents the mental causation problem, explains why zombies do not threaten physicalism, provides a sophisticated dual aspect information theory of consciousness without problematic metaphysical commitments, solves the combination problem of panpsychism, it's falsifiable, it replaces problematic metaphysics with problematic physics. Clarifies the peculiar relation between consciousness and ordinary space. The dual of the renormalization group in the CFT uses the scale invariance to generate homogeneity. Overcomes subject copying paradoxes because of no cloning. This is from Scott Aronson. Overcomes difficulties related to temporal correlates. Explains the privacy of consciousness. Formalizes the structural relation between the SMP correlates by appealing to the dictionary rules. Undermines Kriegel and Howey's pessimistic view of the prospects of the final NCC, because this is a completely different approach. Provides a novel origin for geometry. We get geometry for free, which is pretty fascinating. And once you have geometry for free, you can talk about meaning. Provides a favorable horizon for some of the harder problem intuitions, and this is the whole idea, to start entangling the easy one to get the harder ones. And suggests that we are infinite on the inside, which is kind of nice because it may have some ethical consequences. And Maldacena describes the AdS spaces as infinity in a bottle. And I probably have some more, but that's it. So thank you.
Thank you.